Hello and welcome to Unlimited Online. It's really good that you can join us today. I'm really pleased to have Marcus with us today. We're going to be talking about some issues around race and prejudice and injustice, Black Lives Matter, all those things that have been in the news recently. And I hope that you find this provokes you to think and to talk amongst yourselves and to reflect on your own attitudes and where you're coming from as well. But to start with, Marcus, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, some of the work you've done with young people and children? That'd be really good.
Certainly. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's great to be part of this program today. So my name is Marcus Morgan-Valentine, and I work presently as a youth resilience practitioner. And that's working with young people in primary and secondary, but mainly in primary schools, with young people who've got emerging mental health. But we're working systemically around that. So we're also training parents around the issues around mental health, and we're also working very much with the schools in regards to school systems, and also working with SLT in regards to the senior leadership team, and also working to make sure and train teachers and other non-teaching staff.
Cool, excellent. So can you give an example from yourself, from your own working experience or your own personal experience of when you've encountered racism, prejudice, and how have you dealt with that? How have you overcome that?
I think the first thing I should say, I'm just checking with you, do you mean something recent?
It can be. It's your choice on that.
Okay, cool. I experience it every single day.
Yeah.
Because we know that racism itself comes on various different levels.
Yeah.
We've got things that's happening which is very overt or
Yeah.
covert. We also see things happening just generally. So, for example, on my way here today, I have hidden disabilities.
Yeah.
So therefore I've got a card which goes around my neck which says that I don't need to, and I'm exempt from wearing a face mask. As soon as I step towards people, they back away from me. And that's not just necessarily my white counterparts or those people who are indigenous to this country. Very often that's other people as well, because they just see me, I'm 6'4", I'm a big black guy, I have locks and I dress in a particular way, and people already have prejudice about that anyway. Well, what's interesting, as soon as I speak and they hear me talking, it's a different story. But let me give a very interesting one, because I was thinking about it on the way here. I went for an interview, and before the interview, we had a telephone interview first, and they thought that would be really good, so I went to the next stage. I got to reception, but just before then, I phoned them. I said, hi, my name is Marcus Morgan-Valentine. I've got a 2 o'clock appointment, I'm just checking that you are where I think you are. And they said, oh, yes, no problem. Anyway, went to reception, turned up. I said, hi, come for the interview. And she looked down the list, and she looked at me. She said, no, sorry. You're not here today. I said, no, I am. So I looked over the desk, being so tall, and saw my name there. I said, no, look at your list again. So she went down the list again. She said, oh, no, sorry, it's not you. I said, do you remember the person you spoke to about 40 minutes ago? She said, yeah. I said, he is me. She says, what do you mean? And she looked at me up and down. I said, yes, I know. My name, you would think that maybe I'm not black. Yeah. And also, because of the way I speak, you didn't think I was black, and unfortunately, I'm black. And she went bright red, bless her. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, it's not a problem. I said, but don't ever do that again. Never make assumptions.
Yeah.
So that was just one small experience, and I experience them all the time.
And in your work with young people, how do you think that affects the young people you're working with? How do they react to it, and what can we do about it, I guess? I
think there's lots of things there, because I found that when I'm working with professionals, I see one experience, because we also know that there's really different types of racism. So you have the overt, the covert, and we also have things which is endemic in regards to systems. And when I'm working with young people, when I'm speaking to them, they also think I'm not black.
Right.
Bless them. And then I turn up, they're like, hi! And they don't realise it's me. Yeah. But again, when they hear me speak, then it's kind of okay now. Yeah. But what that's done is it's helped me to be able to really support young people in regards to their own experiences, and also support professionals in being able to help them to understand that these are the different things that someone may have attended to or had to deal with, even when they've just come to make themselves present to your meeting, your appointment, or to school. Yeah. I was explaining to one professional not too long ago and saying to them, you've stopped that person at the gate. How did you respond to them? And she said, well, you know what he's like. He's always late and he never comes on time. His clothes aren't put together and he just looks absolutely disheveled, and I'm not happy about it and the way he looks at me. I said, I hear you. I said, let's bring it back a bit. Did you speak to him about how his day was? How did he get to the place he came to in regards to the school? She said, no, why should I do that? That's not my job. I said, okay. I said, let me help you. I've spoken with him. He's a carer for his mother and father. The way here, he's had to come through 3 different areas where they threatened his life. Number 4, he's actually running away from somebody else that's going to steal his money on the way here. And number 5, he's also incredibly dyslexic. And she just burst into tears and said, I didn't realize he was carrying that. I said, the issue is you looked at him, the person, you didn't find out what his story actually was.
And it just, it's a bit of a theme coming out from what you've said so far, because it seems to me that part of the heart of what you're saying is that we judge very quickly.
Absolutely.
And how do we learn not to do that, do you think? What can we do about that?
I think it depends on who we is.
Yeah.
So if you're speaking about professionals, I think you, one, need to make sure and talk to other people that are not like you.
Yeah.
I think number 2, you should make sure that we're having conversations around what the experiences of those we're working with is. Yeah. And I think what we should really see is checking within. Why do we have those? Why do we have those judgments?
Yeah.
Why do we have those thoughts? Why are there these specific things going on beside us that we make judgments of people? The reality is we do make judgments.
Yeah.
When I came here exactly this morning, it was interesting. I came here and I thought about what was going to happen, and I was thinking about what would the response be as I entered the door, because obviously we haven't met prior, although we've spoken. And what was interesting is that you had warmly received me at the door, although we socially distanced. But though that was the case, I thought, what if it is that it was somebody else? What if it's someone that doesn't have what you have in regards to your experience or in regards to your team that you work with? Maybe I would have had a different experience at the door. Maybe it would have been a bit like when I made my way here. You know, and I just think that people just need to get the training that they need. If we're talking about other young people, I think we just need to make sure that they are equipped. Talk to each other about your experiences, find out. And we've got a saying back home which says that it takes a village to really raise a child. I actually disagree. I think it's villages raise a child. But the issue is if it's a village only, then we have a problem because it's only the village
closed.
experience and it's closed. And it's when we open up those experiences, we see that people actually have a way forward. And actually what we should do is try to help rather than harm.
So watching this in classrooms, they're going to be young people from black backgrounds, from Asian backgrounds, from white backgrounds. How do we get them to have these conversations in a way that's honest, but a way that's positive and affirming? How can, for example, white young people support black young people when they see them being treated differently?
I think the first thing is that what we're trying to do is we're firefighting an issue. You're talking about the response there. I think some things need to happen much earlier. And I think the first thing that needs to happen is that we need to be informing everybody about different types of stories and different lives that people experience. I think what we can do that best way is storytelling. I mean, when I'm doing some of the primary school work, we do circle time. And actually, that's often a place where we're able to see what's really going on in the lives of those around them and where do they connect. And there's different ways we can do that. You've got things like Lego therapy you can use. There's some really great resources on a website called Boing Boing. And what they do is they speak about the resilient classroom and how it is that you can do that from a SARS perspective. But I think children just need to be given the opportunity to realize that first, before anything else, we're not a race, we're human. And I think that is what we really should be coming from, and that's the premise we should always make sure we move from. And actually just giving people an example. So I do stories like I do one around an aardvark, and I said there was an aardvark, and the aardvark comes out, and this is what happened with the aardvark. And people were like, wow. And I said, oh, later on, that's someone that actually attends this school. I just changed the name. And something about storytelling actually helps people to be disarmed and no longer feels there's a defense needed because we're all hearing the same story at the same time. And I just think that people make assumptions about people. And if we move away from assumptions and actually hear the true story, earlier when you was talking about them being able to tell the truth, well, if you're giving me a place where I can actually be honest, then I can do that. If you make sure that the place isn't a place where there'll be harm. So for example, my niece, I'm one of the guardians for her. Unfortunately, my sister had passed away some years ago, and now it is we are looking after my amazing niece, and she's now 11. But what I've told her is no matter what happens, I don't care what happens in your life, I don't care what you experience at school, you must ensure you tell me. And if you think I'm going to get upset or I might respond badly, then what I want you to do is you say, Uncle Marcus, I need to tell you something. but you can't react. And as soon as she says that, it disarms me from being able to do that. And now she's got an open place where she can talk her story. People just need to know that people are human, they have a story, and everyone should be given an equal chance, but not just equality, but equity.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about everyone having the same opportunity, because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We have to make sure people are given an opportunity that helps them to be empowered.
Yeah. Now, final question, because I could talk about this all day.
Me too.
Maybe we'll have 2 sessions out of this,
not?
you never know.
Happy to.
But as a Christian, how does that affect how you view these issues, do you think?
It makes me more informed and helps me. So I'm able to use the lens of being a Christian. So I think about things like the fruit of the Spirit, for example, love, joy, peace, and the rest. So even though these things may internally incense me, and I'm hurt and upset about what it is that goes on for myself and others like me, when I think about being a Christian, my requirement is not to think about my feelings, but rather what Christ has asked me to do. And if Christians means Christ, Ian means like, and if I'm going to be like Christ, he loved everybody and found them wherever they were, doing whatever they were doing, and actually brought them hope, and brought them light, and brought them something that gave them an opportunity for the past, the present, and their future. So what I think about is not necessarily who's just before me or the situation. What I do instead is think, what would Christ do in this? What would be my responsibility as a believer? I don't even call myself a Christian. I don't think I can really be like Christ, to be honest. But what I'm certain of is I can be a man full of love and care and regard and thoughtfulness, and not just consider myself, but allow my own personal feelings to be on the cross and actually just present the premise, what we need to do, which is to love people and bring people to the truth.
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's been great talking to you, Marcus.
awesome speaking
really
to you.
good. And I hope in your setting, as you're watching this, that's given you lots of things to think about. In a few minutes, we'll flash up some questions on the screen that you can think about and talk about, maybe with a partner where you're sitting. But I hope this has made you think. And I hope for all of us, more than just making us think, because that's just up there, it actually changes the way we feel, it changes the way we act and react and how we treat one another. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.